Hey everyone and welcome back. If you have been working with Angular, then you know that this one error which is really annoying and it looks something like this. It's called expression changed after it has been checked error. Okay, so it is probably one of the most confusing and hated error in all of Angular. And it often appears when your code looks perfectly logical. And the common fixes that you'll find online are basically using setTimeout. These are the hacks, but they don't actually solve the problem. So in this video, I'll show you the clean, correct Angular way to fix this error. So let's get started. To explain this error, I've already set up a brand new Angular project and it's open in the VS Code as you can see. So we are going to create a very common scenario, which is a parent component that displays the title and a child component that wants to change that title. So first we will create these components. So we'll open the terminal and inside this we'll create these two components. So we'll use the command ngc and we will call our component as parent and we'll make it standalone. Okay, once we run this you will see that it will create a parent component here. Perfect. So similarly we will create our child component as well. So here we'll run the command ngc child standalone, so it will create a child component. Perfect. So you can see we have got one child component and one is our parent. So what we need to do again is basically we need to have a title in our parent component which can be changed using the child component. Perfect. So now let's open our parent component and inside this I'll create that simple title property we need. Okay, so here I'll say title and this would be, for example, I am the original title from the parent, right? This is the title which parent component already has. And what do we want to do? We want to allow child component to change this title. Okay, so as we'll be using child component, what I'll do, I'll import child component here. So inside the import, I'll say child component. As you can see here, it comes from child slash component. Okay, this one. Perfect. So now in our parent component HTML file, we can go and display this child component. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll remove this, I'll make a div, and inside the div I'll have a h1 title where I'll say my title, so the title which I declared here, this one, and I will show my child component. So we use app child like this. So what we can do is we can go here and we can give it a class and we can call it container. That's it, basic stuff. Okay, but now if I save it here and if I go to my localhost, you can see I see nothing because we need to go and display our parent component into our app component, right? So here I'll display this component. For that I need to import it here. So what do we need to import? We need to import our parent component. So this one, and now we will go here in the HTML and we'll display it here. We'll say app parent. Perfect. Now if I go here and save it, you can see we can see the title, which is I'm the original title from the parent, and child works. So this is the content of the child component which you can see. Perfect. So now we've done the basic setup. Now let's focus on the problem. So before we write the broken code, we need to understand one core concept of Angular, which is unidirectional data flow. So imagine your app is a waterfall, okay? So data can only flow downwards, right? From parent to child. So during a single rendering cycle, Angular starts at the top component and then works on its way to the bottom component, okay? So basically it starts by checking the parent component, update the screen with its data, okay? Then it moves to child and then checks it and then update those screen accordingly, okay? And once a component has been checked, Angular considers it done for that specific cycle, okay? So the error we see, which is the expression changed after it has been checked error, this happens when a child component tries to make water flow uphill in the same cycle. So in that specific cycle, the child component, it tries to reach back up and change something in the parent after the parent has already been checked, that is when the error actually comes up. So Angular catches this in the development mode and throws this error because it can lead to unstable and unpredictable UI, right? It makes sense. So let's start by creating this error. So first we will do the wrong way. So I will on purpose create this error so you can understand it better. So a common scenario is when a child component, after it has loaded, wants to update something in the parent, okay? So let's say in our application, this child component wants to change the page title. So here you can see this page title, right? So inside our app child, if you go here in the parent component HTML, we can see what we need to do. We need to pass our this title property, right? So to do this, what we will do is we will pass the parent component instance to this child. Okay, so we can change the property. So here using the square bracket, I'll pass the parent property and I'll basically passing this instance. So what I'm doing is I'm passing the instance of the parent component using this. Okay, So now I need to go in the child component and receive this as the parent. Okay, so make sure the name is same, this parent. Okay, so once I go here inside the child component file, I just need to receive it as the input. So here I'll say @input. Okay, you can see it comes from Angular core, and the name of the property we will say it as parent, because that is what we defined, right? And here we will give it as our parent component, so it will be of type this parent component. So now in order to produce this error, first we need to implement our on view init here. So we will say here implement after view init, so like this. Perfect. Now we will implement our ng view init. You can see this one. Perfect. So we have got this method here now, ng after view init. Now inside this we will write the logic. So this is the line that will cause the error, okay, inside this. So now what do we want to do? So this is the child component, and from here we want to change our parent title, right? So what we'll do, we'll directly access our parent. So we'll say this dot parent dot title. You see we have access to the title, and I'll change it. So I'll say basically this is equals to, and I'll say the child has changed the title. Perfect. So we are trying to synchronously update the parent's title property. Okay, so basically the parent state even after the parent has already been checked in this cycle. So this is where the error will definitely come. Perfect. So now if I save it, you can see the errors are gone. Now if we go to our application, and if I open the browser here, inspect, and in the console you can see we have got a runtime error, which is expression change after it has been checked error, where it exactly tells us what the previous value is and what the current value. So this is Angular protecting us from our own mistake which we have made right now. Okay, so now let's focus on the solution. So how do we fix this problem without any hacks? Okay, so we need to stop the child from commanding the parent. If you see here what is happening, the child is directly trying to change the property of a parent component, which it shouldn't do. Instead, what child should do is it should politely announce that something has happened, and the parent has to decide that if it wants to change the property or not. Okay, so the Angular way to solve this problem is with an @output property. Okay, how we use @input, we need to use @output. Okay, so we'll create an event emitter in the child that will send the new title up to the parent. Okay, and then parent can change it. So let's refactor our code. So first thing we'll do is inside the parent component, we will remove this parent property. Okay, perfect. And then we can go into our child component TS file and then also get rid of this input parent as well. And then we can remove this bit as well. Perfect. So now we are back to our basics, and now we can focus on our solution. Okay, now what do we want to do? We want to somehow tell from child component that there is a property which has been changed. So for that we'll use @output property. I'll declare it here. You'll see @output, and inside this we will write our property name. So we'll call it title change request. And whenever we want to emit a property, we use our EventEmitter. So here I'll use EventEmitter. Basically, whenever we want to use output property, we use EventEmitter to pass our data. So here we'll say string, and that's it. So now we can take this EventEmitter, which is our title change request, and we can output it. Okay, so inside the method, now instead of directly changing the parent, what we'll do, we'll emit an event. So we'll say this dot title change request dot emit. So with this emit, we'll be able to pass our message, which is of type string. So here we'll say this child change. So we'll say the child change the title. Easy as that. So now we are not directly changing our title property, we are passing this. Okay, now we can go into our parent component. So now we need to go into our parent component and listen for this specific event. Okay, so we'll go in parent component HTML, and now this time we'll listen for this specific event. Whenever we want to listen, we use our round brackets. You can see title change request, and whenever this happens, we want to call our method, which is our on title change, and I'll declare this method in my TS file. So here we'll mention dollar and event like this. Perfect. So now we'll go and we'll declare this method. Inside the parent component here, I'll have on title change, and inside this we will receive our new title here, whichever we are getting from our child component. That would be of type string, and then I'll call the method here. So we'll say this dot title, and we'll give it this new title property. So there, and the method would be obviously inside this class. So I'll just copy this from here, and here we'll have this method. Perfect. So you see what we are doing, we are having our on title change method. Basically this will call every time a child sends a request, which we receive it from here, and we call it. Perfect. Now inside this we change our title. Okay, so now if we save it and we go back to our browser and refresh it, you can see we are still getting the error. Why? Because we are still emitting the event synchronously. So we are doing all of this stuff within the same change detection cycle. So the final piece of the puzzle is to go here in our child component and make this asynchronous. So to do that, we need to use setTimeout. So we'll use setTimeout here, and inside this, we need to put here 0. Make sure it's 0, and take this and put it inside this. So why we did it and set the delay of 0 here? Because this tells JavaScript that you need to wait till the cycle which is running is finished. Then only you run this bit of code, which is our this dot title change request. Okay, you do not run it at the same time a cycle is running. You wait for the cycle to complete, and after only that you run this piece of code. I hope that makes sense. So this basically makes our this code asynchronous. Okay, so now if we save it and we go to our browser again and we refresh, you can see that it works perfectly. So the title updates and there are no error. So you can see here in the console as well, there are no errors. The child component announces the change, which is this one. So the data flow is respected and our application is stable now. So to recap, the expression change after it has been checked error is just an Angular way of helping us to do stuff correctly. So the correct way to fix it is to never have a child directly change its parent state. Okay, you have to just keep that in mind. Instead, always use @output and EventEmitter to send a message up and let the parent decide how to update itself. Okay, so this is a fundamental pattern in Angular, and now that you understand the why behind it, you'll be able to write cleaner and more robust application. Now, if you want to see how we use this exact parent-child communication in a huge real-world application with NGRX, a real-time database, and a user authentication, I highly recommend you check out my complete Jira clone tutorial. I've linked it right at the top of the description below. If you found this video helpful, please hit that like and subscribe button. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.